The empty boat. One tranquil autumn afternoon, the river stretched out like a soft silk ribbon, winding gracefully under the golden hues of the setting sun. The surface of the water shimmered, tiny ripples dancing to the rhythm of the gentle breeze. Amid this peaceful scene, a man rowed his small boat steadily. He was a fisherman, devoted to his trade, earning his living from the river. He cherished this river like an old friend, intimately familiar with every rapid, every serene bend, and every hidden rock. Today, he decided to row farther than usual. He believed that in the deeper waters, the fish would be more abundant, enough to bring home a hearty meal for his family. The golden light painted the water like a gilded mirror, reflecting his silhouette and his modest boat. The calm atmosphere seemed to soothe his spirit, but this calm was soon disrupted. In the distance, he spotted another boat drifting toward him. At first, he didn't think much of it. On this river, encountering another boat was an everyday occurrence. Usually, boatmen would notice each other from afar and steer their vessels to avoid any collision. But this time, the other boat moved steadily forward, showing no sign of changing its course. The man frowned, irritation beginning to stir within him. Setting his oars aside, he stood up and shouted, "Hey, watch where you're going. Can't you see my boat?" The boat continued its slow approach, silent and indifferent, as if it hadn't heard him. His irritation quickly turned into anger. He raised his voice, his words echoing across the river. "You there! Are you deaf? Move your boat out of the way." But his only response was an uncanny silence. The boat drifted closer, carried by the gentle currents, unhurried and unbothered. The fisherman's frustration flared. He gripped his oar, ready to wave it threateningly, thinking to scare off whoever was aboard. But as the distance between the two boats closed, he noticed something unusual. The boat was empty. There was no boatman, no sign of any passenger, not even a pile of belongings. It was just an abandoned little vessel, withered and worn, carried aimlessly by the river's flow. The man stood there, frozen in place, his anger dissipating like mist in the morning sun. He watched the empty boat drift by, a sense of embarrassment creeping over him. He realized that all his shouting and fury had been directed at an inanimate object, something utterly oblivious to his existence. The boat hadn't meant to block his path, nor had it any intention of provoking him. It was merely at the mercy of the current. The fisherman picked up his oar again, but this time, he rowed with a different energy, calmer, more deliberate. As the empty boat floated away, he couldn't shake a new, profound feeling stirring within him. It was as though the silent boat had whispered a message to his soul. He sat down in his boat and began to ponder. Why had he been so angry? Because he assumed someone was deliberately ignoring him, disrespecting him. He had projected malice onto something that was completely incapable of it. If he had known from the start that the boat was empty, would he have felt angry? Probably not. The man started reflecting on his life, recalling arguments with his wife or moments of frustration with his child. So many times, he had felt wronged, as though others were deliberately going against him. But now, he wondered, were they really trying to upset him? Or was he simply imagining it? Perhaps, like the empty boat, they were simply caught in life's currents, with no intention of causing harm. The more he thought, the lighter he felt. He realized that most of his anger wasn't caused by others, but by his own assumptions and interpretations. When he stopped attributing negative intentions to what happened, his feelings of frustration vanished on their own. That evening, he didn't catch many fish, but he returned home with something far more valuable, a profound lesson. He shared the story of the empty boat with his wife. She listened with curiosity, then smiled, as though she too understood the wisdom hidden in his tale. From that day forward, whenever he felt anger rising, he thought of the empty boat. It reminded him to pause and reflect before letting his emotions take over. Gradually, he became a calmer, more understanding man. He was less quick to anger and more willing to listen and empathize with those around him. The story of the empty boat spread throughout the village. Everyone who heard it found themselves pausing to reflect on their own feelings and reactions. Slowly but surely, the village grew more harmonious. Arguments became rare, replaced by smiles and gentle words. As time passed, the little boat likely rotted away somewhere along the riverbanks, forgotten by the waters that had carried it. But the story it inspired lived on in the hearts of the people. For the fisherman, it became more than a story, it became a guide for life. He understood that the boat was a symbol of the events in life, many of which happen without malice or intention. They simply happen, driven by forces beyond anyone's control. If he could accept this, he could find peace. On that autumn evening, the little boat drifted by, leaving behind a lasting lesson. And the man, from what could have been a fleeting moment of anger, discovered a serenity that would stay with him, like the river flowing gently beneath the soft embrace of the twilight sky.